Granblue Fantasy Relink is finally here and we've been playing a ton of it, so here's 10 things that we wish we knew earlier that would have made our playthrough infinitely better, and so hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes. Something that you're probably going to want to do right away is start unlocking every character, because of course you can play them or slot them into your party. But what we actually found out after finishing the main story will save you so much time and effort in farming, is that if you actually unlock the characters after the main scenario is completed, they will unlock at a higher level with much more progression in their mastery tree, meaning you won't have to spend as much time leveling them or using a ton of your mastery points to get them where they need to be. So we actually recommend that early on, you only unlock a couple of characters that you really want to play and then save your last tickets until you've progressed further in the game. You can actually see what level they will unlock at in the actual crewmate voucher menu here on the screen. And we're sure many of you guys will be wondering, yes, you can unlock every single character. You don't just get tickets from completing the main story, but also from other sources such as the quests on the quest board too. So you can get all of the characters eventually. Next is a thing that many RPG fans are probably worried about, and that is missables, such as missing a key item that ends up being awesome, and that is never a good feeling. In Granblue Fantasy Relink, there are various items littered throughout the maps, even weapons for characters to pick up, and thankfully you can rest easy about any of these missables, as after you finish the main story, you will have the option to go back and replay any of the chapters that you want, and this will allow you to find any chests or loot that you didn't pick up the first time around. On top of this, the actual quest chapters will be labeled with all of the items that you've missed, so it makes it super easy to find the things you don't have, go back and collect them by replaying those chapters. Next up, you should know that side quests will be a huge help throughout Relink. As someone that normally likes to focus on the main story, as I just want to enjoy the actual campaign first, I found that the side quests are actually worth your time, as they offer a ton of crafting materials, XP, and mastery points. By far, the best thing that you can do with these side quests is simply pick them all up as they become available. This is because you will complete these objectives passively in the background while simply doing other tasks. Some of them are simple, like handing in resources, but others might require killing certain bosses or enemies a number of times, so if you pick them up, you can start ticking these off passively just while playing. Another really cool thing that we found out way too late in Relink is that it's actually really easy to see all of your current side quests, and you can actually fast travel directly to them to hand in those quests through this menu. So don't waste your time running all over the villages, you can simply fast travel to them and instantly hand them in. You should also know that Skybound arts are an awesome thing to pull off, but there is some tricks to them that you will want to know about that will make the harder content in the game a lot easier. The first thing is that Skybound arts will actually pause the quest timer in some instances, meaning they will be a big help to complete certain side objectives that require a specific time to actually kill the monster. This also works for timed damage check gauges that sometimes pop up on certain bosses, whereby you need to destroy a part or deal enough damage within a set time, so remember your SBA can be really helpful for pausing timers against enemies. But another extremely powerful feature of your SBA is that you can use it to quickly fill up your link gauge to maximum, meaning you can get additional link time, which is an absolutely massive window for dealing damage to enemies. If you execute your SBA and get a full chain burst, it will give you 100% of your link gauge, meaning you can go straight into link time afterwards after you get a link attack. Because during link time you get way faster cooldowns, additional damage, your health regenerates, it's a super important window to damage bosses, so make use of your SBA and full chain bursts in order to build up that link gauge from 0 to 100 instantly. Another important feature that we didn't notice initially is that you should check around the towns every so often, because a lot of different chests and items will actually spawn in there and they are repeatable. The chests, some side quests, and additional shiny pickups will respawn every so often, meaning it's always worth doing a quick run around, because later on, after completing the main campaign, these are actually very lucrative. And talking about these kind of free rewards, at the quest counter there's a set timer where you can claim a free golden ticket, so make sure you do that too. You might find certain side objectives can be difficult on some of the harder bosses, such as not going into critical a certain number of times. It's definitely worth knowing that the auto revive sigil is a fantastic sigil to have on, as it will not count your death towards the actual side quest counter when it comes to going into the critical state. It will just automatically revive you and not add to that, meaning those tougher quest side objectives are much easier to target. If you're someone that doesn't like to explore deep in the actual menus, then don't worry, we have you covered here. Within Lyria's journal, there's actually in-game trophies that can be found. These might seem unimportant, but if you scroll through the different trophies, you'll see that some of them give you some pretty great rewards for completing them. In addition to this, you aren't given these items automatically. You will need to go into the menu and claim them one by one, or claim all of them, so make sure to check back here from time to time because you can get some really spicy materials, dyes, and more. Now, when it comes to upgrading your character, there is a lot of different crafting materials that you will need, and this is required to make your character stronger. It can be quite difficult to know exactly where you can get a certain part or what boss drops a particular item, but luckily enough, Relink has an awesome wishlist system. Not only does this remind you that you got a certain material you were chasing by having a little magnifying glass next to it, but you can actually filter the quests at the quest board for missions that only drop that particular item, meaning it's quite easy to find different treasure that you need. Think of it like a quick way to filter all of the quests to find the exact one you need to do to get the item you're farming, saving you a bunch of time. The Knickknack Shack is a great place to check because you can actually trade for treasure, and some of the items you get in return include some pretty good sigils. So if you find a quest that drops a bunch of the items that are used for trade, you probably want to keep a note of it because especially later on, you can get some incredibly good sigils from the Knickknack Shack by trading for them. Next up is something that took us a while to learn with meticulous training in the actual training room and testing a bunch of different sigils. To massively increase your damage, you might want to take a look at the damage cap stat. This is because you might think it's clever to stack together a bunch of different damaging sigils like attack, tyranny, and stamina, but what we actually found out is if you do this, there will be a certain limit whereby you don't hit any harder. This is because you have a damage cap which will actually limit the maximum amount of damage you can output regardless of how much attack you have. So if you see that you're hitting the same damage number all of the time, this is a pretty good indication that you need to switch things up and start equipping some damage cap sigils to raise your actual DPS ceiling. You can easily test out if you're hitting the damage cap by using our next point, which is the training dummy. That is a fantastic way to quickly gauge how good your build is, and it has a variety of different modes. To access this, all you need to do is return to town and then head to the docks, and from here, go to the Grand Cipher. Once you're on the ship, you will then see the training dummy in the corner, and here you can go up to it and select one of the different modes, but the normal training mode is what we suggest, as it's a great place to test out your combos and compare your damage output with different sigils on. You can even toggle things like your skill cooldowns and others, so you can set the scenario up how you want to test. And you can quickly reset it by simply equipping a new item, or by going into the menu and clicking reset with changes. Something else that might help you out an absolute ton, particularly as you get further in the game, is knowing that you can get additional potions, including additional revive potions. If you use the Potion Hoarder sigil, this will give you way more options, including more normal, blue, and revive potions, making it a very useful sigil. So if you end up running out of potions a lot, or you really want an additional revive potion, consider using the Potion Hoarder sigil. And again, this might be something that you really need to consider at the higher level content. Make sure to stay subscribed and drop a like down below because we're going to have you covered with so much more Granblue Fantasy Relink content. And we hope this video helped you out.